And we are live. Hello, Neve. Hello, Imani. Hello, Frostbite. Hello, Vampire Sight. Amit Chef, Victoria, Autumn, Dollar Dollar Bill, Ari Patel, Logesh, HZ. Don't worry. Pumpkin, I'm going to share it. I'm going to share it. Don't worry. Hello, obviously, Oscar, Panface, Yucko, DB, SR17. Gold Dominic says, yo, guys, last ever GCSE maths paper tomorrow. Let's go. Let's go. Okay, Eva, hello, Mamzi, Akev says, hello, Abraham Lincoln. I don't know how you think I look like Abraham Lincoln, brother. That's one I've only heard from you. Zion, Harry, Arjun, Hazakasta Yusuf, Robin Hyper Craig, Oddish. CJ says, let's devour this one. Come on. Harry says, hello. Hello, Media Unfiltered. Hello, April. April HZ said, not feeling too well today, but couldn't miss this. Still here, putting in the work. Guys, if you're feeling exhausted, if you're feeling pretty sick and you've been revising all day, take it chill. Don't worry too much about doing the actual questions. Prioritize listening carefully for the descriptions. However, if you are in good health, guys, let's put it all in. Tonight is the final night of GCSE exam preparation. For most of us, it's going to be the final time we ever have to do GCSE maths. Well, tomorrow will be, but you know how it is. Hello, Valley. Hello, Mamzi. Hello, Mickey Red. Hello, NSA. Cat Twigs, good to have you on. Thank you for the help tonight moderating. Hello, Lucy Stubbs. Mickey Red. Lena. Taylor in the chat. Come on. Good to have you, Modo. Guys, let me know. Can we do a quick music check? Can you hear the music? Can you please all turn your volume up to max and let me know, can you hear the music? I'm going to go quiet for a couple of seconds. Thank you, Pranav, Logesh, Jode, AFG. Yep, thank you, guys. Just wanted to check that music. The reason I check that, guys, is because I'm always listening to music while the streams are on. Gives me a bit of energy, keeps the spirits high. But obviously, I can't have you guys hear it because of copyright, all that business. So, yeah, just had to check that. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much. Hazakash said, I improved from 25 to 80. Sorry, I improved from 25 out of 80 to 50 out of 80 because of the streams. Let's go. That's what we like to hear. Superb work. Couple of people asking what time foundation is. Our foundation session this evening is going to be from 7 p.m. until 8:30 p.m. Just going to check in on the TikTok, see how things are looking. And for anybody wondering the plan in terms of what content we're going to cover tonight. So I've been through pretty much all of the past papers and identified some questions from some specific papers which I think are most likely to be covered in the exam tomorrow. So the general topics, it overlines with pretty much all of the predicted topics you've seen online. The different people are predicting topics. Basically, I've identified exam questions for those topics. Now, of course, we're balancing a little bit between Edexcel and AQA. The priority is Edexcel. So if you're doing Edexcel, all of the questions are reasonably likely to come up for tomorrow. If you're doing AQA, this probably isn't the best stream to be on, just because it's mainly going to be Edexcel predicted topics. Is it still going to be beneficial? Yes, it's going to move the needle in the right direction. However, I'd be lying if I said it was a perfect match for the predicted topics. So maybe a different stream would be best. However, if the alternative is doing no revision, or if you just want to keep this on for the vibes in the background while you do an AQA paper, that's also very cool. That's also very cool. Quite a few people asking where they can find the paper. Maths Genie, the classic, any of those websites that have them. Okay, TGVR. I appreciate the donation. However, ethics will be more important than money. I'm going to have to give you a sim bin for that one. I'm going to have to give you a sim bin. I appreciate the donation, brother. But guys, let's keep the chats appropriate. Okay. Any questions before we get going, team? Let's have a look. Oh, yeah, guys. And everybody, let's keep the chat cool. We've got moderators on this evening. Anybody putting inappropriate stuff in the chat will be muted. And if you put something that's like actually disrespectful to another student or something, you'll get blocked and you won't be able to watch the streams. We've got moderators on TikTok and also on YouTube. So we're going to be holding it down tonight, keeping this a positive environment for everybody watching. Okay, guys, it is now 5 past, so we're going to get going. Quite a few people asking what paper this is. This is the November 2021 paper 3. Maybe I'll give just one more minute if people need to print that out. Okay, we're going to start in at 6 minutes past. Just giving people a little moment to print that out. So November, I mean, we've had a bit of a moment, but for anybody who was wondering, November 2021 paper 3. And yes, we are doing specifically the questions which are most likely to feature tomorrow. We're starting with scatter graphs, which is kind of a mid likely to come up tomorrow. But we're going to do it anyway, just because it's a little quick one to get us warmed up. What it does mean is we're going to be skipping quite a lot of the easier questions of the paper, getting into some of the tougher ones, focusing on some circle theorems and some vectors this evening. Although it's painful, it's good practice for tomorrow, guys. It's good practice for tomorrow. Neve says, maths, learn, full stop. Let me get the rest of the message. Maths learned, pear juice drank, calculators printed out. You guys know that's one of my bloopers. Calculators printed out and maths. Maths grade 9, Hotel Trivago. Come on. Okay, very nice. Guys, let's get cooking with question number 1. Drop your answer in the chat for this one quickly for me. Simply, we get given this scatter graph. It says the scatter graph shows information about the volume of traffic and the carbon monoxide level at a point on a road each day for 22 days. And it says 1 point is an outlier. Write down the coordinates of this outlier. Yep, Alfie's in there. Yuko, Jay, James, APC. Nice clothing brand. Lincoln New, yep, to everybody saying 118, you are absolutely right. So what's an outlier? Simply, it's going to be a value on our scatter graph, which is really far away from all of the other values. So we can see that most of our values are in this kind of nice line. This point up here is well away from the others. So our outlier, we do our x coordinate first, 100, and our y coordinate second of 18. So our outlier is simply 118. Next up, it says, for another day, 370 cars passed the point on the road. Estimate the carbon monoxide level for this day. Now, you do kind of need the paper printed out for this, so I'm just going to go through it, and then we will crack on. So, what we do to do this is we're going to draw a nice line of best fit going roughly through the middle of all of our points. Doesn't have to be perfect. There's going to be a little bit of wonky woo going on with different lines. That's completely cool. They're going to give you a interval between which your answer has to be. So the question says 370 past the point on the road. So we're going to draw a nice line up from 370. We can see that 300 to 400 is 10 boxes. So each of the boxes is going to be worth 10 because it's a distance of or difference of 100. 10 boxes, 100 divided by 10 is 10. Next up, what are we going to go for over here? Well, we can see that it is a little bit above our 14. The number of boxes between the 14 and the 16 is 5 boxes, and that's a difference of 2 units. So we can do 2 divided by 5 on the calculator is 0.4, telling us that each box is worth 0.4. So we're going to have 14.4 as our answer to that one. So they're going to give you a range for that. Doesn't have to be exactly what I put. Good job to Jay. Good job, Alex. Good job, Autumn. And then, guys, actually, I'll just go through this as well. Then I'm going to shift over, giving you guys a bit more time for the following questions. The question says, Alfie says, because they're an outlier, there is no correlation. Is Alfie correct? You must give a reason for your answer. What do we reckon, team? Is Alfie correct or incorrect? Hello, Tanjim. Good to have you, my friend. Logesh says he's wrong. Thank you, Charlotte. Holding things down in the chat says people with inappropriate chats will be blocked. Please be aware of what you're saying. Absolutely, guys. Absolutely. Is it cool to have a joke? 100%. We're not trying to be too serious around here. The only thing we're serious about is getting the good grades. However, anything inappropriate, disrespectful, you're going to get muted. Okay, bingo. I can see quite a lot of people saying, no, Alfie is not correct. And that's exactly right. There's a couple of different things we could say for this. What we could say is having an outlier doesn't mean that there can be no correlation. So that's one thing we could say. Or we could just look at it and see, actually, there's a positive correlation. So why is he wrong? He's wrong because no, there is a positive correlation. So he's wrong because there's a positive correlation. Next up, guys, question number 5. To anybody who's been watching my TikToks, my YouTube shorts, you will have seen I posted one about this question today. Even though kind of similar stuff has come up in different papers, or in paper 1, paper 2 for various exam boards, because we're dealing with foundation, higher, EdXL, and AQA. This one is still very good practice on your problem solving without a shadow of a doubt. Well done, Dragon. Well done, Callum Mikey. What do we reckon, team? What's the value of A? What's it going to be? And this one is 3 marks. Forgot to say, actually. So this one is 3 marks. Okay, quite a few answers popping off in the chat. Quite a few people dropping 12. I'm going to give another 30 seconds, and then we're going to go through it. If you have done this, consider moving on to the next one. Consider double checking your answer as well. Okay, let's have a look. Question number 5. It says, oh yeah, a couple of people asking if we're skipping questions. Absolutely. The topics which are less likely to come up, I've taken out of the paper. Okay, so the first 4 terms of a Fibonacci sequence, anybody watching Prison Break out here, of a Fibonacci sequence are A, 2A, 3A, and 5A. We're told that the sum of the first 5 terms of the sequence is 228. And then we're asked to work out the value of A. How are we going to do this? Well, we're going to have to set up an equation and solve it to work out the value of A. We know that the first 5 terms, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5th term add up to 228. First thing we're going to have to do is find the 5th term in terms of A. What's a Fibonacci sequence? It's a sequence where to get the next number, we add the previous 2 terms, or to get the next term, we add the previous 2. So, for example, A plus 2A is 3A. 2A plus 3A is 5A. So our 5th term is going to be the 3A plus the 5A. That is going to be 8A. Now that we've got the fact that the 5th term is 8A, we can add them all together, and we know that this is going to have to be equal to 228. So we can do A plus 2A plus 3A plus 5A plus 8A. And we know that this altogether is going to be equal to 228. Now we can simplify this and solve it for A. So A plus 2A is 3A, plus 3A is 6A, plus 5A is 11A, plus 8A is 19A. You should do that on the calculator. So we know 19A is equal to 228. The next thing we can do to work out the value of A, well, now we have an equation. We can divide both sides by 19 to get the A on its own. So we're going to have A equals 228 divided by 19, which we can bing into the calculator. 228 divided by 19, and that is going to give us 12 as our answer. Nicely done to anybody who got that one. Nicely done, Axel Garcia. Good work, Mohammed Bilal. Good work, Fodoza. Good work, Chidoza. All the O's over here. Okay, fantastic work, guys. Next up, question number 7. So question number 6 has been removed. This is a 4-mark question. Let's see what we can do. Let's see what we can do. Valili said, yep, I love a bit of Prison Break. Tricky says, yes, the best question. Guys, and by the way, we're now at the stage where a lot of the questions that we do today, you might have seen before. You might have seen them on my TikTok, somebody else's TikTok. You might have done them in a past paper. Guys, it's still really good practice, especially the day before the exam. Especially the day before the exam, it's just refreshing a lot of the content. What we don't want to do the day before is get exhausted. What we want to do is just keep stuff ticking over in the mind and think about the type of questions that could come up. So the plan for this evening, guys, just for anybody wondering, we're going to be doing higher revision from 5 until 6:30. We're going to be doing foundation revision from 7 until 8:30. Then we're going to be back on with the higher revision from 9 till 11. Now, from 9 till 11, the first hour and a half will be revision. We're going to stop the revision at 10:30. We're going to do another meditation session, breathing exercises, anxiety management, stress management for the exams and stuff. A little bit of a Q&A to chill out, and then hopefully most of you guys will be going to bed not too late. So stream will be finishing at 11. That's probably your cue to get a good night's sleep. Unless you've done no revision, then stay up all night and cram. Yeah, that's right, Lincoln, you. Okay. Question number 7. Zayn said, all my days, that breathing technique worked, and I fell asleep straight away. Guys, really, to be honest, low key, it's more important than the maths knowing these things. Dominic said, can we do a setup review at the end of this? We're not going to do it today. I'm going to do another live maybe over the weekend just to chill out, close the chapter. And what I'll say to the moderators is a little bit of spamming is okay. A little bit of spamming is okay if we got the answer and that kind of thing. But anybody spamming inappropriate stuff, we'll get rid of them. Okay, I can see quite a few answers going into the chat. Let's have a look. The question says the diagram shows a sector OPQR, center O, and a radius, shows the sector OPQR of a circle, center O, and radius 8. OPR is a triangle. Okay, OPR is a triangle, and we're asked to work out the area of the shaded segment PQR, giving our answer correct to 3 significant figures. Guys, what do we reckon? What we're going to do is we're going to work out the overall area of what that segment, or that segment would have been, of what the sector would have been, the quarter of the circle. Then we're going to subtract the area of this triangle. So first of all, how do we work out the area of the quarter circle? So the area of the quarter circle. So area of a quarter circle. Well, we know how to work out the area of a circle. It's actually on the formula sheet. It's pi r squared. So to work out the area of a quarter circle, we're going to do pi r squared. Then we're going to divide it by 4. Because we only have 1/4 of the circle, so we split it into 4, divided by 4. So firstly, working out pi r squared. What's the radius? Well, we're told that the radius of the circle is 8. So we can write this as pi times by 8 squared, and then we have divided by 4. And we can type this into the calculator. It's going to be 64 pi over 4, which is going to be 16 pi. And the units would be centimeters squared. Then it says, or what we need to do, I should say, to work out the area of the shaded segment, we said, is work out the area of this triangle here and take it away. So the area of the triangle, how are we going to find it? Well, we know that the area of a triangle can be found using either a half AB sine C, which technically you could use here if you wanted to, or it's going to be easier if we just use a half times by base times by height. Now, when do we use half AB sine C, and when do we use half times base times height? We use half times base times height whenever we can. And what we can see here is that we have a base for our triangle, it's 8. We have a vertical height, it's 8. So we can use a half times base times height. It's just going to be a half times 8 times 8. So a half times 8 times 8, which typing it into the calculator would be 32. So working out the area of the shaded region, so the shaded region, well, that's going to be the difference. So we're going to do the area of the quarter circle, 16 pi, minus the area of the triangle, 32. Now I'm going to type this into the calculator, 16 pi minus 32. I'll type that in, I get 18.265, etc. 265, etc. Now the question does say to give our answer to 3 significant figures, so I'm going to round this. First significant figure is the 1, second is the 8. So for my third significant figure, I look to the next one, the 4th. Here, because it's 5 or above, we're going to round up. We're going to turn that 2 into a 3, and we're going to get 18.3 to 3 significant figures. Guys, good work if you got that one. Let me know in the chat, how did we find it? Was there anybody who didn't get it, but it makes sense for now? Hopefully a few of us got this one. Pumpkin HD says, bish, bash, bosh. Very cool. And what I'll say to the moderators as well, guys, is you don't need to put warnings in the chat. You don't need to put warnings in the chat. Just mute people straight away. Okay, a lot of people saying it makes sense now. Fantastic. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, wicked. Okay, question number 8. Let's have a look at this one. Guys, can we all get a quick W in the chat for the mods, by the way? I appreciate it very much. It's the only way I can do this is because of a lot of the mods who are muting people, putting dodgy stuff. So let's get a quick W, because I can see a couple of Muppets putting L mods in the chat. So let's get a few W's in just to show we appreciate it. Before we move on to question number 8. Yeah, fantastic, guys. Fantastic. Thank you, Yucko, Neve. Nicely done, Perplexy, Banny. Yeah, fantastic, guys. Fantastic. Okay, question number 8 then. Question number 8. Drop your answer in the chat for me for this one, guys. Drop your answer in the chat for this one. It says, using the axes below, sketch a graph to represent the statement y is directly proportional to x. It's going to be obviously you can't draw it, but what would it look like? Yeah, okay. A lot of people are saying straight line. Fantastic. Yep, somebody said y equals x. I rate the people who are putting the slashes in. That's, yeah, cool idea. So, yeah, absolutely, guys. Y is directly proportional to x. It's going to be a straight line, which looks like this. What about the inverse proportion one? This one I'm just going to draw for everybody. So have a think about what it would look like. Yeah, those those slashes are cool, low key. I rate that. Tanjim says I started the slash. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Very cool. Okay, what's this next one going to be? It's going to look like this, guys. It's going to look like this. Yeah, a lot of people putting... I like that from Neve. That's the best one, yeah, from Neve as well. A little curly bracket going in. So, yeah, absolutely perfect, guys. That's just one to be memorized, to be honest. Question number 9, next up. Let's see what we can do for this one. Question number 9. This is actually a topic which people really don't tend to like. Let's see what we can do. Tanjim said, sir, have some faith. So have some faith, Papi. Prison Break reference. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Cat Twix says, why is it curved? Honestly, at this stage in the game, don't worry too much about why it has that shape. I would say just memorize it. It's one of those ones. And if they showed a reciprocal graph, it's going to be like this. So it's going to be in both the axes, or the positive and negative quadrant. Okay, drop your answer in the chat for this one for me. Let's see what we can do. Neve said, I think we've had this, have we? So we've had similar, but this tests a very specific aspect of it, which hasn't come up yet. I can see a few people asking whether I'm a teacher, whether I teach in a school, my grades and that kind of thing. So for anybody who's new, welcome to the team, welcome to the community. You've seen the format. I go through the questions, give a bit of time, and I'll answer the rest of the stuff after this question, because I can see people spamming the chat hard with the answer to this one. So let's have a look. It says, on Monday, 12 people took 5 hours to clean a number of cars. On Tuesday, 15 people cleaned the same number of cars. Assuming that the people all worked at the same rate, work out how many hours the 15 people took to clean the cars. So, how do we do this? This is one of our applied direct proportion problems. Basically, the way to do it is to work out the total number of hours, the total number of human hours required to clean the cars, and then to go back from there. So if we were talking about building a house, maybe it would be days. In this case, it's hours. So how many human hours are required? Well, it's 12 people and 5 hours each. So 12 people each take 5 hours. So the total hours of effort is 12 people. Each one works for 5 hours. So it's 60, 12 times 5, 60 hours of effort in total. Now, if we share this 60 hours between 15 people, how much does each of them have to work? Well, we can divide that 60 hours. So 60 hours divided by 15 people, and each person is going to have to put in 4 hours of effort. So 4 hours of effort per person. There we go. Okay. It says the assumption is wrong. How might this affect the time taken for 15 people to clean the cars? Well, simply, if the people work at a different rate, so the assumption was that everybody works at the same rate. If people actually work at a different rate, it's either going to take more time or less time. So what we could say is if the people actually work slower or at a slower rate, then it would take longer. And then if we want to, we can add and vice versa. So if they worked quicker, it would take less time as well. Okay. Yeah, nicely done, Mohammed Bilal. Nicely done, Tanjim. Nicely done, Apex, Jake. Nicely done, Hamd. Superb work. Superb work. Okay. Question 11. Let's have a look at this one. Another great topic, or another topic which is very likely to come up. Let's have a look. Hello, Sadja. And also to the mods, another thing I'll say is to anybody saying to mute other people, only mute the things that you see. Only mute the things that you see, because we'll get people just playing pranks and stuff as well. Okay, I can see a bunch of answers going in the chat. Nicely done, Bloopsies. Nicely done, Great Gunner. Tanjim, Ashkat, Trickies, BG, Baller Gaming, Hassan Mohammed, good to have you, my friend. Okay, question 11. What's it going to be? The question says that Freya writes down the value of x correct to 1 decimal place. She writes 6.4, and then we're asked to complete the error interval for x. So what do we know about x? Well, we know that when our number is rounded to 1 dp, it goes to 6.4. So if we think about this on a number line, we have 6.4. The next number would be 6.5. The one before would be 6.3. To think about what our error interval would be, we're going to go halfway between them. Halfway between 6.3 and 6.4 is 6.35. Halfway between 6.4 and 6.5 is 6.45. And then we have the less than or equal to sign on the left-hand side, and then just the less than on the right-hand side. And that represents the fact that 6.35 would actually round up to 6.4. 6.45 would actually round up to 6.5. But by having this less than sign, we make it 6.44. No, 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 no. Hopefully that one makes sense. If it doesn't, definitely revise this. There's a bunch of good videos online for this one. The trick way to do it, if you're thinking, I've got no idea what's going on and I'm not going to watch a video, is to just put a 5 on the end for the upper bound. And for the lower bound, subtract 1 from the last number and then put a 5 on the end. Question number 12, probably our trickiest one yet. Only 2 marks for this. Let's have a look and see what we can do. Having a quick check-in over on the TikTok. Nice to see, nice to see. Neve says, I forgot this one. Definitely a good one to practice for tomorrow, guys. Our index laws. Caster says, can you write vice versa? Yes, you can. The reason is because we already kind of described the other one clearly, so we would have already got the mark for that previous one. But saying vice versa just adds a little bit of sauce on top, a little bit of a cherry on top. HZ says, no, what in the world is this one? Yep, I know. I know a lot of people are going to struggle with this. Guys, if you don't know how to do this one at the moment, but when I go through it, it makes sense, let me know in the chat. You know the drill. You know they're my favorite comments. You know they're my favorite comments. Couple of people saying that you skipped questions. Yeah, guys, we're skipping the questions from the papers today that are less likely to come up tomorrow. Now that it's paper 3, to be honest, you can make pretty good predictions. This is where predicted papers are valuable. So that's why we're removing a few of the topics. Okay, I'm going to give a little hint because I've not seen anybody put a good answer in the chat yet. But I've also not been looking at the chat. So when we have something inside brackets to a power, we need to do both of the numbers to the power. So we're going to have a to the power of 1 over n Let me go back to my nice blue color. We're going to have both of our numbers to the power of 10, or both of our components to the power of 1 over 9. I think I said 10. I meant 1 over 9. So a to the power of 1 over 9. 1 over 9. I mean 1 over n, guys. I can't even speak today. So 1 over n. And then x to the power of 6 to the power of 1 over n. Well, how do we do that? X to the power of 6 to the power of 1 over n. Well, when we have a base to a power and we raise it to another power, we have to times those powers together. So we effectively have 6 times by 1 over n. Now, what's 6 times by 1 over n? It's 6 over 1 times 1 over n. So it's just going to be 6 over n. So this is going to be a to the power of 1 over n, x to the power of 6 over n. And this is equal to 7x to the power of 3. Okay. Now what we can do is we can match up the different parts of our equation. We know that the power on the x has to be 3. So we know that this is going to go with this. We also know that the number next to it, so that a to the power of 1 over n, is going to have to be 7. So this is going to allow us to essentially set up a couple of equations to work out n and then a. So how can we work out n first of all? Well, we know that 6 over n has to be equal to 3. So the power has to be equal to the power. So 6 over n has to be equal to 3. 6 divided by what is 3? Well, 6 divided by 2 is 3. So that's one way to work it out. The other way to do it, which is kind of more thorough, is we say, okay, well, how do I make x the subject of this equation? I'm going to multiply both sides of my equation by n. So we're going to have 6 equals 3n, and then divide both sides by 3. 6 over 3 equals n, and 6 over 3 is just 2. So n is equal to 2. Now that we have the value of n, we can set something up with this other part. So we know that a to the power of 1 over n is equal to 7. Now we know n, right? So we can say a to the power of 1 over 2 is equal to 7. Now the question is, well, what, when I raise it to the power of 1 over 2, gives me 7? Well, how do we do a fractional power? Guys, actually, let me know this one in the chat. Let me know this one in the chat. Typical Toby says 49. Trey says root. Mamsie, good job. Sarah Dar, good job. Nicely done, Monk. Yeah, good. Exactly, guys. So a to the power of a half is equal to 7. Well, when we do power of a half, we square root that number. So what we're actually saying is the square root of a is equal to 7. Then we say, okay, the square root of what is 7? Well, we know the square root of 49 is 7. So a is going to have to be equal to 49. So we're going to have our two answers of a is equal to 49 and n is equal to 2. Okay, that is our answer. Guys, let me know in the chat. Do we understand it now? Eva says, whoa, that makes sense now. Fantastic. Guys, somebody just let me know. Apparently somebody's made a fake account in the chat with my name and profile picture. Needless to say, that is not me, because I'm not putting stuff in the chat while I'm teaching. Linda says, I understand it now. Rahan says, makes sense now. Fantastic. Onion Man, good work. Pumpkin says, I get it now. Fantastic, guys. Fantastic. Okay, moving on to question number 14. 4 marks up for grabs in this one. I think you could get a question like this tomorrow. And this is one which a lot of people, again, won't know how to do. A lot of people won't know how to do this one. Some people asking what the topic was for that previous one. For that previous one, guys, the topic was index laws. That was like an index laws problem solving question. Also, guys, it's going to slam me in the algorithm, to be honest. But anybody who's currently watching on the TikTok, consider coming over to the YouTube. I focus on the chat in the YouTube. The YouTube's like the main community. Still, the TikTok community strong. There's still over 600 of us watching. But guys, let's try and get the YouTube above 1,000 again today if we can. Last time, or paper 2, we hit a personal best on the channel. We got over 1,000 people watching, which was sick. I think we got up to 1,100. Imagine if we do that again today, guys. How cool would that be? How cool would that be? If you do come from the TikTok to the YouTube, let me know in the chat as well, and I'll give you a little shout out. But the main thing is just you watch wherever you're comfortable. You watch wherever you're comfortable. Katie Griffith says, I'm always scrolling on TikTok, then I watch you live and go to the channel. Okay, a lot of people saying I'm watching on both. Raheem said I came from the TT. Summer says I came from the TT. Shout out Jessica. Shout out Key. Shout out Comfort. Hey, wicked guys. Shout out Jake. Fantastic, fantastic. Linda did as well. So did Shocker Puppets. Awesome, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to the channel. Okay, question number 14, guys. Question number 14. Let's start talking about this. So I'm going to give a little bit of time after I start talking about it because it's a tough one and I've not given long. But let me give you a hint. So the question says Olivia and Jessica have in total half as many sweets as Fran and Gary in total. We're told that Fran and Gary share their sweets in the ratio of 2 to 3. So Fran to Gary. What a name Gary is. That might be the all-time GOAT name, to be honest. So Fran to Gary is 2 to 3, and we're told that Olivia to Jessica, so Olivia to Jessica is 9 to 1. It says Fran got W, Gary got X, Olivia got Y, Jessica got Z. Find in its simplest form the ratio of W to X to Y to Z. Now, W to X to Y to Z is just going to be Fran to Gary to Olivia to Jess. So how can we start thinking about combining these ratios? Well, we know that Olivia and Jess have in total half as many sweets as Fran and Gary. So we basically need in the combined ratio for Olivia and Jess's number of parts to be half the number of parts of Fran and Gary's. So Olivia and Jess combined need to be half as many as Fran and Gary combined. So how many parts do both of our ratios have at the moment? Well, this has 10 parts. How many parts does this have? Well, this has 2 plus 3, which is 5 parts. Now, we need this to have twice as many parts as Olivia and Jess. So if this is 10 parts and Fran and Gary need to have twice as many parts because Olivia and Jess have half as many sweets, guys, in the chat for me, how many parts do Fran and Gary need to have in total? How many parts do Fran and Gary need to have in total? I'm still seeing some mixed opinions in the chat. How many parts do Fran and Gary need to have in total? Good job, Jörn. Good job, Rich. Good job, Banny. Yeah, good job, Basur. Yeah, nicely done, guys. Nicely done, Kaja, Linda, Charlotte. Yep, so they need to have 20 parts. So they need to have 20 parts. Why? Because 20 is going to be double the 10. So we currently have 5 parts. We need 20 parts. How do we get from 5 to 20? We times it by 4. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply our ratio by 4. 2 times by 4 is going to be 8. 3 times by 4 is going to be 12. So the ratio of Fran to Gary to Olivia to Jessica, well, now we can just combine them because we have the right proportions for Olivia, Jess, Fran, and Gary. So combining them all, F to G to O to J, we're going to have 8 to 12 to 9 to 1. And that is going to be our answer for this one. Autumn says, oh, okay, that makes sense properly now. Didn't read it properly in the first place. Fantastic, fantastic, good work. Jessica says, would you not times by 2 to equal to 10? Good point, Jessica. But we need it to be twice as big in total. So we could times it by 2 to get it to 10 parts, but then we'd need to times it by 2 again to get it up to double the number of parts in total. Okay. Nicely done, Jay. Abby says, makes sense now. Fantastic. Guys, really, really good work. Really good work. Somebody said, unlucky Jessica on the ratios. Yeah, I'll agree with that one. I'll agree with that one. She only got 1 over there. Okay. Next up. Dun, dun, dun. Question number 18. How many marks? 4 marks. Vectors, vectors, vectors. I'm going to give you a healthy amount of time for this one, and then we're going to go through it. Guys, should we get an L in the chat for vectors? Yep, let's share some of the sadness for vectors. Let's just get an L in the chat for vectors. I know we all hate vectors. Or pretty much everybody hates vectors. Yeah, guys. So look, so if you were feeling bad at home on your own, thinking it's only you who doesn't know how to do vectors, look at that chat. Look at that chat. Everybody hates vectors. Everybody hates vectors. But let me give you some good news. Let me give you some, well, quite good news. This question is fantastic, really, really good for exploring a lot of the principles in vectors. So I'm going to take this one nice and slow. I'm going to take this one nice and slow when I do go through it. I'm still going to give a few more minutes. But I'm hoping that a lot of us who hate vectors now, after we go through this, are going to like vectors a bit more. So I'm going to spend a good 5 minutes explaining how to do this one. We're going to take it nice and slowly. And hopefully, if vectors come up tomorrow, we're going to be ready for it. We're going to be ready for it. So vectors, 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 guys. I want to change your opinion of it on this. To be honest, low key, it's still a dead topic. So I'm not gonna convert you into loving vectors. You're still probably gonna hate it. However, you will know how to do it with a lot more confidence than at the start. Okay. And guys, after this question, I'm gonna do the regular, you know the drill, where I ask for a little bit of a Google review to anybody who hasn't already left one. Helps me out. Well, I'll give the explanation in a couple of minutes. What am I looking for? Oh yeah, the link. Give this one a good go, guys. Have a think about how to do it for me. To anybody wondering why I'm bobbing my head like a weirdo, it's because I've got music playing in the background. You know the drill. I got the My GCSE Maths Afro Beats playlist on, so I can't resist a little bit of a bop. Callum says, wait, this is low-key not too bad as a question. I would say as a vectors question, this one isn't too bad. It's vectors, it's still hard, but it's not too bad. Anybody know this song? This is what we got playing at the moment. Somebody saying W song. Okay. Okay. Lots of people putting things in the chat. Question number 18. Guys, drop ready for me when you're ready, and we're going to go through it. Drop ready in the chat for me when you're ready, and we're going to go through thoroughly. Okay, guys, let's have a look. And please let me know in the chat after this question if you feel like you've learned something from me going through it, and if you feel a little bit better about vectors ahead of tomorrow. So let's have a look. We're told that OABC is a trapezium. We're told that to get from the point O to the point A, we have the vector A, and we can see that it's in that direction, going from O to A. From A to B, we have the vector B. From O to C, we have the vector 3B. And then we're told that D is the point on O to D. Sorry, D is the point on OB such that O to D to B is 2 to 3. And E is the point on BC such that B to E to C is 1 to 4. So whenever we have a vectors problem like this, guys, and we're given the ratio of one part of our side length to another part, so in this case, O to D to B, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to work out what fraction of the line is taken up by each of the sections, okay? What fraction of the line? So what fraction of the line is going to be O to D? Well, how many parts is O to D out of how many parts in total for the line? Well, in total, it's 5 parts from O to B, and O to D is 2 of those parts. So the fraction is going to be 2 over 5. So 2 over 5. So that's 2/5 of the distance. Now, what about D to B? That's 3 parts out of 5, so it's going to be 3/5 of the distance. That's a little bit unclear, that writing, so let me just polish that off. Now we can do the same thing with B to C. So with B to C, we know that B to E to C is 1 to 4. So again, we have 5 parts in total because 1 plus 4 is 5. But only one of those parts is for B to E. So this is going to be 1/5 of the line. The other section then is going to be 4/5 of the line. 4/5 of the line. Now let's have a think about it. How are we going to get the vector from D to E? How are we going to get the vector from D to E? Well, to get from D to E, we could either go from D to O, and O to A, and A to B. That would be one option. We could go from D to O, O to C, and then back up this way. We could ideally go straight from D to O. But none of those are going to be the most direct or kind of the most optimal way, given what we know about our diagram. What we're going to do to get from D to E is we're going to go from D to B, and then from B to E. So we're going to go from D to B, and then B to E. So we're going to say the vector D to E is the same as going from D to B and then adding on B to E. So then the question becomes, okay, well, how do I find D to B and how do I find B to E? If I can find those, I can add them together and we've got our vector. So how do we get from D to B? How do we get from D to B? Well, D to B is going to be 3/5 of, so we're going to say D to B. So how shall I write this? I'll write it like this. So D to E is going to be, D to B is going to be 3/5 of all the way from O to B. And then B to E, well, that's going to be 1/5 of the way from B to C. So we need 3/5 of going from O to B, because this is 3/5 of the line, and 1/5 of going from B to C. So now we need to find the vectors O to B and B to C, then we can sub them in. So what's a vector from O to B? Well, to get from O to B, how do we get from O to B? Well, we can go from O to A and then A to B, and we know both of those. So we have A plus B. Okay. Now, what about the vector from B to C? This time we're going to have to go the other way around our vector diagram. So from B to C, how are we going to do it? We're going to go the wrong way, so from B to A, but the opposite way to the B, so minus B, because the arrow's pointing in this direction to the right. So minus B, then we're going to go minus A, because we're going the opposite direction to the arrow, so minus A, and then we're going to go 3B, so plus 3B to the right. Now we can simplify this. Minus B plus 3B is 2B. So, or in other words, 3B minus B is 2B. So we're going to have minus A plus 2B. Minus A plus 2B. So now we have O to B and we also have B to C. All that we're going to have to do is substitute those in and then solve or simplify. Guys, talk to me in the chat. How are we doing? Is it making sense at the moment or has it been super unclear? Quite a few people saying you're lost. Is anyone still with me? I know it's a tough one. Autumn says, I think I get it at the moment. A lot of people saying it makes some sense. A lot of people saying they still get it. Okay, we got a mixed bag, guys. Don't forget, this is a very high-grade question. So, next step. To find D to E, we need 3/5 of the O to B and 1/5 of the B to C. So we're going to do D to E. So D to E in total is going to be 3/5 of our O to B that we found. So 3/5 of our A plus B. And then it's going to be 1/5 of our minus A plus 2B. Of our minus A plus 2B. Okay. Let's simplify. What's it going to be? So we're going to expand these brackets like we would expand any other brackets. What's it going to give us? We're going to have 3/5A plus 3/5B. And then we're going to have plus 1/5 times minus A. So minus 1/5A, and then 1/5 times 2B plus 2/5B. Next step, we're going to bring everything together. So 3/5A minus 1/5A, well, we can do on the calculator 3/5 minus 1/5 is going to be 2/5. So 2/5A. And then we're going to have 3B plus 2/5B. On the calculator, we can do 3/5 plus 2/5. It's going to be 5/5, which is just 1. So it's going to be plus B. So there we collected our like terms, and you'd use the calculator to simplify it. Okay, guys, talk to me in the chat. How did we find that one? I know it was super difficult. But let me know. Did it make a difference for anybody? Autumn said, oh, I get it now. Fantastic. Yun said, what on earth have I just watched? Very mixed opinions. A lot of people saying they get it now. Oh, guys, that's so good to see. Bloopsy says, oh, alhamdulillah, we got it. Good work, mate. Zero says, easy money. Blue says, I get it, kinda. Hassan says, Lord have mercy. Yeah, it was tough, guys. It was tough. Hopefully it made sense for a few of us, or a lot of us, actually, looking at the chat. Great work, guys. Great work. Okay. Yeah, fantastic. Okay. Yep, we're going to do one more question from this paper. Guys, because we are over halfway through now, we are going to take a... Drop it in the chat, guys. 4 or 5 minutes. Oh, no. Why am I saying that? 5-minute break. Guys, we're going to now have a break until 5:57. I know some people need to pray. I know some people need a glass of water. We've been going for just under an hour now. 5-minute break. We're going to be starting maths again at 5:57. Guys, this is where I'm going to ask you, please, to consider leaving a review. So I've put a little link in the chat to leave a review. It'll just take you through, if you click it, to a Google review. And guys, it really, really helps me out. This is the last day. Guys, we've been on a journey together. Some of you are new today, so welcome if you're new. But some of us, we've been going on this for a few weeks. If this session is helping you, if you want to join later session, this kind of thing, guys, I would really appreciate it if you can consider leaving a review. I really want to keep doing the free live streams. The only way I'm going to keep being able to do this for free is if I can grow the stream. And the only way I'm going to be able to do that is if we can do things like getting good reviews. So I am going to give a quick shout out to anybody who does leave a review. I know a lot of you guys have already left reviews. So if you have, of course, I appreciate it. Thank you. Bilal says, last day for lives. Absolutely. Absolutely. Guys, by the way, take this break as a moment to go, get some water, get a drink, have a little snack if you want. Something maybe sugary will help you out, but not too sugary. I know Neve likes her pear juice. If anybody's got any pear juice lying around, that's probably perfect for right now. To anybody who's currently watching on the TikTok, you can leave a review using the link in my profile page. So that's the way to find it from the TikTok. I'm getting a few little notifications saying that people are leaving reviews. Thank you, Haida. Thank you, Chizzy. Thank you, Eliola. Thank you, Milo. Thank you, Alfie, Matam, Atsan. Thank you, Oscar. Yeah, guys, fantastic. Thank you so much. Somebody gave a little every impression and said, I love this game. Awesome, guys. Fantastic. We got to find the final question in this paper is tough. And then we're going to actually start another paper up to, yeah. to take us up to 6:30. To take us up to 6:30. Couple of people asking if I'm in Germany, guys. I'm not in Germany. I have nothing to do with Germany. I don't know why it looks like I'm in Germany on the Google Maps thing. It's I'm in the UK. I'm in England. Um, I think it's because I have my location set to Europe, like the business location is Europe, and Germany's roughly in the middle, so it just looks like that. Um, The plan for this evening, just to remind guys, is higher session from 5 until 6:30, so we've got about 35 minutes left. Foundation session from 7 until 8:30, and then we're going to be back on the higher from 9 until 11. The first hour and a half is going to be revision. The last half an hour is going to be a bit of a guided meditation, some breath work, to calm some nerves ahead of tomorrow. If you haven't joined one of the breathwork sessions before, guys, I would really recommend it. It's a fantastic tool, basically these breathing exercises for managing stress, anxiety, this type of thing. And to anybody who's been in the previous sessions where I've done that, can you put a quick W in the chat for me if it worked? So if the breath work worked, can you please put a quick W in the chat just to show people that it's actually legit? Thank you, Dragon, Lucas, HZ, Boom, Bloomy, Charlotte. Yeah, awesome. Neve says, I use the breathing before every exam. Yeah, fantastic. And guys, this is a life skill. This is a life skill. I have a big conference I have to do a presentation at in about a month and a half. There's going to be like 300 people in the crowd. Guys, that's going to make me nervous. I can't lie. I'm going to be sitting there waiting to go up like, oh God, man, there's a bunch of, people watching, whatever. I'm going to be using these breathing exercises right before I go up to calm myself down a bit. So it's the stuff which works. You'll use it for your whole life. Keanu said, wait, what breath work? I feel left out. Hey, not left out at all. Join back this evening at about 10:30. We're going to be doing it again tonight. Okay. April says W method. Zulkheim says fire breathing. There is actually another version, guys. There's another type of breathing you can do to give you loads of energy instead of calm you down. So that's probably what he's referring to as fire breathing. Eva says the breathing actually works. I did it in my exam. It makes me so happy. Okay, guys, it's now 57. We're going to get cracking again. We want another solid half an hour of revision. We're going to move on with question number 22. This is one of the last questions in the paper, guys. Obviously, it's difficult. Let's give it a go. Somebody said, are you better at maths or breathing? I'm going to say breathing. I get more practice at breathing, that's for sure. Okay, Q22. Question 22. Did I say 222? I think question 22. Okay, question 22. Show that 6x cubed over 9x squared minus 144 divided by 2x to the power of 4 over 3 times x minus 4 can be written in the form 1 over x times x plus r, where r is an integer. And this, I believe, is 3 marks is a joke for this, guys. This should be 4 marks. This should be 4 marks. I'm going to give a couple of minutes before we move on. Katie Griffiths says he's skipping questions. Yep, guys, I'm skipping the questions that are less likely to come up tomorrow. Question 22. Just to get people into it, we're going to want to factorize this. You could use difference of two squares. You could factor out the 9 first. And then to multiply the two fractions, we're going to use copy, swap, flip, or keep, flip, change. Okay. Drop ready in the chat for me, and we will go through it, guys. Tell you what, the mods have got their work cut out today, that's for sure. Okay, Dragon's ready, Axel's ready. Another one with this one, guys. Another one with this one, I will say, is let me know in the chat if you don't know how to do it, if you don't get it, but then you get it after I go through it. Also, what I will say to the moderators is if people are putting dodgy stuff in the chat, just give them like a lifetime ban or remove them from the channel or do whatever the one which keeps them out the most is. Just because otherwise they're going to keep like putting the same messages. So hide the user on the channel. I think that's the button. Okay, question 22. Show that 6x cubed over 9x squared minus 144 divided by this can be written in the form 1 over x times x plus r, where r is an integer. So whenever we have a simplifying algebraic fractions question like this, guys, what we're going to want to do is to combine everything together. So combine the two fractions together, but also factorize as much as we possibly can. Once we factorize, we're going to be able to cancel out on the top and the bottom. So what are we going to have? For the first fraction on the top, we're going to have 6x cubed. And what are we going to have on the bottom? Now, I'm going to see if I can pull a factor of 9 out of both of these. So I know that 9 goes into 9x squared. I'm going to see if 9 goes into 144. So on the calculator, I'm going to do 144 divided by 9, and I see that it's 16. So I'm going to factorize this, pulling out a factor of 9. So 9 times x squared would give me the 9x squared, and 9 times 16 would give me the minus 144. And then I'm also going to do copy, swap, flip, or keep, flip, change. So we're going to swap the divide for a times, and then we're going to flip the final fraction. So 3 times x minus 4, and that's going to be over 2x to the power of 4. So there we use keep, flip, change. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to combine everything together, which should be combined. So I'm going to combine my numbers together. I'm going to leave this in a bracket, and this x's are all already together. So on the top, we're going to have 3 times by 6 is going to be 18. Then we're going to have x to the power of 3. And then we're going to have the x minus 4. So we're going to have this on the top. Now, what about on the bottom? Well, I've already factored out the 9, but we can actually factor out, or we can actually factorize, I should say, the x squared minus 16 as well. How can we do that? Well, we have a square number, x squared, minus another square number, 16. So here we have the difference of two squares. When we have the difference of two squares, remember, guys, we can do it as x plus the square root of that number times by x minus the square root of that number. And then what are we going to have? We're going to have times by, or we can actually just combine them. Yeah, let's combine them on this stage. So we're also going to be timesing this by the 2x to the power of 4. So we're going to do the number times by the, actually, no, I'll do it in one step. So we're going to do the number, the 9, times by the 2 is going to give us 18. Is going to be 18. And then we're going to have our x to the power of 4 as well. We're going to have our x to the power of 4 as well. Okay, now where does that leave us? What can we do? We can cancel down. We can cancel down. So we can divide the top and bottom by any common factors. We can divide the top and bottom by 18, and they're going to cancel out. We see that we have an x minus 4 on the top, and we have an x minus 4 on the bottom. So again, we can divide top and bottom by x minus 4, and they're going to cancel each other out. Next step, we can divide the top and bottom, and actually I'll just write this out to make it clearer. So now we have x cubed over x to the power of 4 times by x plus 4. Now what can we do, guys? We can divide the top and bottom both by x cubed. So we have a common x cubed on the top and bottom. On the top, when we divide by x cubed, we're going to get 1. And on the bottom, x to the power of 4 divided by x to the power of 3 is just going to be x. So we're going to have 1 over x times by x plus 4. We can see that the value of r, which has to be an integer, it's going to be our number, is 4. So r equals 4. Our actual answer, though, is just 1 over x times by x plus 4. Okay, guys, talk to me in the chat. Let me know. Was there anybody who didn't get that but understands it now? Talia says, oh, I get it. Fantastic. Robert says, I got it now. Aaron says, I got it now. Autumn says, that was not nearly as bad as I thought. Hey, guys, fantastic. That's so good to hear. Nicely done. Lincoln, you said it's long but not too hard, I think. Okay, good. Guys, the really important thing to see here, or the hard thing to see, is difference of two squares. So that will be the thing which trips most people up, is that difference of two squares there. Okay, we're going to move on to, actually, let me have a quick look at the chat first. Yeah, I can't see any specific questions. Good work, guys. So what we're going to do now is, I'm pretty sure I took the rest out. Yep. So the rest of the questions in this paper were for topics that already came up. We have another 25 minutes, though. So we are going to move on to selected questions from the 2017 paper. So we're going to start going through from the top again. We're going to start this paper. We're going to hopefully get through most of them. Nice that the questions are a little bit easier again. So yeah, it's going to be some more good practice. Let me have a quick look if there's any circle theorems in here, because if there are, I'll make sure we do it. If not, I know there's circle theorems in the paper later. Okay, there's a vectors question. That'll be good to do. No circle theorems. The papers later that we do from 9 till 11 are going to feature a couple of circle theorems questions. Okay, question number 1. Find the class interval that contains the median. Guys, what do we think for this one? Drop your answer in the chat for me when you have it. And I'll actually, no, you can type those not too badly. Let's see. Speed Runs and Tricks says, do we have time to print? You can start printing. The first couple of questions, I'll just go through and don't worry about writing them out. But this one I will say, yeah, let's see. Put your answer in the chat for me. Okay. Let's have a look. A couple of people saying 150 to 160. Yeah, lots of, actually some mixed answers for this. Let's have a look. So the table shows some information about the heights of 80 children. Circle the class in, or find the class interval, I should say, that contains the median. So find the class interval that contains the median. How are we going to do this? Well, how do we find the median or estimate the median from a grouped frequency table? What we do is we look at the total frequency. So the total frequency here is 80. So we have 80 children. The median is the number which, when we line them all up from smallest to biggest, is in the middle. So in this case, it's going to be the 40th value out of 80. So what we do is we find the cumulative frequency. We keep adding them together until we identify which group is going to contain our 40th value. So the first group is going to contain the first 4. We're going to add 11 to that to work out that the next one is going to take us up to the 15th person. Adding the next 24 is going to be 39. So this interval is going to take us up to the 39th person, but we can see that we're still not big enough. We're going to add the 22 on. That's going to take us up to 61. So we can see that this group takes us from 40 to 61. So from the 40th value to the 61st value. So this is going to be the one which contains the 40th value. So it's going to contain the median. So that's how we do those ones, guys. That's a question which trips a lot of people up, actually. Next up, draw a frequency polygon. How do we draw a frequency polygon? Well, we just plot our frequencies against the midpoints of our classes. So halfway between 130 and 140, we're going to do a frequency of 4. Halfway between 140 and 150, a frequency of 11. Halfway between 150 and 160, we're going to have a frequency of 24. Halfway between 160 and 170, a frequency of 22. And halfway between 170 and 180, a frequency of 19. And then we're going to connect them all with nice straight lines. And crucially, A, we use straight lines, and B, we don't join them up at the bottom. So if you get a question which asks for a mistake with a frequency polygon, Quite often, the mistake is either that they've used straight curve, a smooth curve, sorry, or they've connected the points at the bottom. Okay, question number 4 up next. Let's have a look at this one. And let me know in the chat if there's any questions for that previous one. This is a 3-mark question. Another topic which is quite likely to come up tomorrow. Okay. I'm seeing a few like Q&A style questions come in the chat. Guys, this evening after 10:30, I'm going to be doing a bit of a Q&A. So you can ask your questions then. When we do our nice chill down before our final exam, guys. It's going to be the end of a journey. It's going to be the end of a journey, guys. It's going to be emotional. But I'm going to do another live just to see how you guys got on in paper 3. So probably not tomorrow night, but maybe Thursday night. I'm going to do another live just to see how the paper was and to close the book. Do a bit of an extra Q&A and to bid you guys farewell and wish you luck for the rest of the exams. Jenna, thank you for clarifying. Yep, says, guys, the orange line was a common mistake. Yeah, so I think I rubbed it out, hopefully. Yeah, I did rub it out. So the orange line was a common mistake. Panjim says, Matt, I'm going to miss you. I'm going to miss you guys too. I'm going to miss you guys too. It's going to be weird not doing these lives. Okay, answers in the chat for me when you've got this one, and I'll go through it. Okay. Yeah, a lot of people saying they're gonna miss me in the chat. I'm gonna miss you guys. I'm gonna miss you guys. And I think we're all gonna miss each other low key because there's been a great community building up over this exam period. Lincoln, you said, do you think we will reach a new high tonight? We're about 750 at the moment. To get a new high, we'd need to pass 1,200. So it's going to be a long shot, but we could. Syed says, I won't miss you because I hate math. You know what? That's very fair. That's very, very fair. Most people are just going to be like, yes, we're done. Part of me is going to be like that as well, but it doesn't mean that the two can't happen at the same time. Okay, let's have a look. Let's have a look. Question number 4. It says there are only blue pens, green pens, and red pens in a box. We're told that the ratio of blue pens to green pens is 2 to 5. So blue to green is 2 to 5. And we're also told that green to red, so green pens to red pens, is 4 to 1. We're told that there's a total of less than 100 pens in the box and asked to work out the greatest possible number of red pens in the box. What topic is this, guys? This is combining ratios. This is combining ratios. So at the moment, we have the ratio of blue to green and green to red, but we don't have the ratio of blue to green to red. So we're going to want to combine these ratios. How do we combine them? Well, what we do is we look for the thing which is common to both of the ratios. Here it's green. We scale them up so that we have the same number of parts in both of the ratios for the common component. Then we can put those ratios together. So we need a number that 5 and 4 both go into. Well, 5 times 4 is 20, so they're both definitely going to go into 20. And then we say, well, okay, how did I get from 5 to 20? I times it by 4, so I'm going to do the same thing to my 2. I'm going to times it by 4. It's going to be 8. Next up, how do we get from the 4 to 20? Well, we times it by 5. So I'm going to do the same thing to my 1. 1 times 5 is going to be 5. Now what we can do is we can combine those ratios, blue to green to red, because we have a 20 for the green. What do we know? We know when we have 20 green, we have 8 blue. And we also know when we have 20 green, we have 5 red. So it's 5 to 20, sorry, 8 to 20 to 5. We know there are less than 100 pens in the box. So where do we go from here? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to scale this ratio up to get as close to 100 pens in total as we possibly can, because it asks for the greatest possible number of red, knowing that overall it's less than 100. So how many parts does this ratio have in total? Well, in total, we have 8 plus 20 plus 5, which is 33 parts. So we're going to scale this ratio up to get as close to 100 as possible without going past it. Well, we can actually scale this up by timesing it by 3, to get 99 parts. Now, we couldn't get any more parts than that because we go over 100. So I'm going to times all three of my colors by 3. So 8 times by 3 is going to be 24. 20 times by 3 is going to be 60. And 5 times by 3 is going to be 15. So what's the greatest possible number of red pens in the box? Well, the greatest possible number of red pens in the box we can see now is 15. Good job, Fardoza. Good job, Axel. Good job, Hibber. Yeah, good job. Yeah, nicely done, guys. Nicely done, Purple Star. King Stealth Blade says 2017 paper 2 June has the topics that hasn't come up. We've already done that paper. And it does have quite a few topics that have already come up. It does have quite a few that have already come up. Okay, 5 seconds to screenshot this one, guys. Let me know in the chat. How do we find that? 5 seconds to screenshot. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nace says, yep. And what I will say, guys, is conversation which is off topic is okay to a degree. So to the moderators, don't worry about banning people if they're just chatting. That's fine. If they're just playing random stuff, that's okay. It's only to people who are trying to mess stuff up and playing disrespectful stuff that we'll get rid of. Okay. Question number 5. What do we reckon? It says find the value of the reciprocal of 1.6. Give your answer as a decimal. What does reciprocal mean, guys? Reciprocal means 1 over. Reciprocal means 1 over. So how do we find the reciprocal of 1.6? We're just going to do 1 over 1.6. And then it asks us to give our answer as a decimal. So we're just going to type this into the calculator. 1 over 1.6. And that is going to give us 5 over 8 on the calculator. And then it says to give our answer as a decimal. So that is going to be 0.625, 0.625. All that we did there was we clicked change on the calculator. Next up, 5B. Jess rounds a number, x to 1 decimal place. The result is 9.8. Write down the error interval for x. On that last one, good job, Connor. Good job, Hastur. Good job, Hibber. Good job, Jake. Zenesis, Bloopsies. Yeah, nicely done, guys. Nicely done. Okay, what about this next one, team? What do we think? Okay. Yep, awesome. Good work, guys. So, what's it going to be? We're rounding the number to 1 decimal place. Result is 9.8. This is actually exactly the same as the one we did previously. So we have 9.8 in the middle. The one up, or 1 decimal place up, would be 9.9. One below would be 9.7. So we're going to go halfway between them. We're going to get 9.75, 9.85, and that is going to give us our upper and lower bound. Now we can see in this one that they don't give us our inequalities, so we're going to have to write it. We're going to write that x is greater than or equal to 9.75 and less than 9.85. Crucially, really important to get that second mark. We need the less than or equal to on this side, but we don't put the line under it on the right-hand side. Okay, good work. Question number 9, compound interest of a sort, but this is actually compound decay. Good work, Frostbite. Good job, Tangent. Neve says, I just put my pen down and it disappeared. No! Have you got a spare one? Question number 9. SW said, isn't that just trial and error? You can definitely use trial and error for this. And that is, yeah, it is going to be the way to do it, I would say. To do this without trial and error actually uses a bit of A-level maths techers. Yeah, Shrey just said it, all logs, yeah. Okay, guys, are we ready? Drop ready in the chat for me when you are ready, and we'll go through it. Wajilo said, sir, can we get an all right, all right, all right? All right, all right, all right. Okay, Bumi, Isam, Syed, Mamzi's ready, good to see. Okay, a lot of people are ready. Let's have a look. So, and to anybody again who doesn't get this or didn't get this but understands it after I went through it, let me know in the chat afterwards, please. So, we're told that Jack bought a new boat for £12,500. We're told that the value V of Jack's boat at the end of n years is given by the formula V is equal to 12,500 times by 0.85 to the power of n. At the end of how many years has the value of Jack's boat first become less than 50% of the value of when it was new? So we need to work out the value of n, or the first value of n, that gives us a value which is less than half, less than 50% of the original value. So step number 1, let's work out 50% of the original value. So we're just going to do 0.5 times by 12,500. On the calculator, that would be 6,250. Now what we're going to do is we're going to plug in different values of n and work out which the first one is, which is going to give us less than 50%. You could start with 1. I'm going to start with 2 just to save a little bit of time. So we're going to have when n equals 2, and let me write this out super clearly. So we can say when n equals 2, we're going to have v equal 12,500 times 0.85 to the power of 2. Now I'm just going to type this into the calculator. 12,500 times 0.85 squared. We're going to get £9,031 and 25 pence. So we can see that 2 wouldn't give us a small enough value. What about when it's 3? So when n equals 3, we're going to have v equals 12,500 times 0.85 to the power 3. So I'm just going to go back in, swap my power for a 3, and we're going to have 7,676.56 to 2 decimal places. Again, it's not less than the 6,250. So we're going to now go with n equals 4. So when n is equal to 4, v is going to be equal to 12,500 times by 0.85 to the power of 4. I'm going to swap my 3 for a 4, typing it in, and we are going to get 6,500. We're still not there. 6,525.07, etc. It's actually 0.8 to 2dp, just to make it correct. Let me just change that. And then when n is equal to 5, this one's definitely going to be below. So we're going to have v equals 12,500 times 0.85 to the power 5. We're going to have 5,546.32. And this one is clearly less than the 6,250. So at the end of how many years? We can see that it's at the end of 5 years. This is the first one, which gives us a value which is less than 6,250. Okay, talk to me in the chat, guys. A couple of people are saying that you can use logarithms for this. Guys, that's A-level maths. It's not GCSE maths, so ignore logarithms in the chat. A couple of people asking if I teach A-level. I do teach A-level, but not on social media. Nice. Janat says, I get it now. Sonia says, I get it now. Yeah, fantastic. Fantastic. Good work, Hibba. Good work, Linda. Somebody says that was low-key all right. I get it now. Fantastic. Fantastic. Good work. Okay. A couple of people asking where I got the 0.5 from. That was 50% as a decimal. So 50% as a decimal. Fantastic, guys. Good work. Okay. Next up, yeah, let's do this one. Let's do this one. It's a pretty tough one. 3 marks. And then we'll do one more question after this. MX Ruff says, can we get marked down for doing only one trial and getting it right? So what you would have to do is you would have to at least do 4 and 5. So if you did 4 and 5, you would be okay because you need to show that 5 is the first year, which is below 6,250. So you need to do at least 2. You need to do at least the last one, which is more than it, and the first one, which is less than it. Hopefully that makes sense. Aisha said, does anybody know what paper he's going through? This one is the November 2017 paper. We're just doing selected questions from it. Paper 3. Paper 3. Okay. 9B team. 9B. What do we reckon? SR said that was amazing. Nice work. God's grace says I get it now. Fantastic. Daisy said, I feel bad for Sir Con Lai. He must be very uncomfortable. Why uncomfortable? Lincoln says, all the mods left. I don't think they did. I think we have at least 2 on. We have at least 2 on. Okay. Ah, okay. I get it, HC. Hibber says, why are people calling him Unk? I have no idea. I think Unk is like, well, it's short for uncle, but I think it's like, you get it, you get it. Okay, Autumn says, yep, I don't get this one. Don't worry. We're going to make it make sense. Pumpkin says, Unk means you're old, sir. I'll take that. I'll take that. Especially when a lot of you guys think I'm like 19 or 20. Okay. A couple of people saying the wording for this question is strange. Guys, the wording for this one is strange for sure. Okay, let's have a look at the question. We have 9B. It says a savings account pays interest at a rate of R% per year. Jack invests £5,000 in a savings account for 1 year. At the end of the year, Jack pays tax on the interest rate at a rate of 40%. After paying tax, he gets £79.20. Work out the value of R. So we know that he pays 40% of the total interest that he gets as tax. And after paying that 40%, he gets £79.20. In other words, what can we say? Well, we can say that 60%, so 60%, which is 100% minus 40%, the amount of the interest we have left over. So 60% of the interest is going to be equal to £79.20. So 60% of the interest is equal to £79.20. Well, if from this we can work out 100% of the interest, so the actual amount of interest we got, then to work out the interest rate, we can divide that number by the amount that we had in the account. So how can we work out the 100% of the interest? Well, we can go back down from 60% to 10% of the interest, and then scale that up to 100% of the interest. So how do we go from 60% of the interest to 10% of the interest? Well, from 60 to 10, we can divide by 6. So we're going to divide £79.20 by 6. I'll do that on the calculator. £79.20 divided by 6 is going to be £13.20. And then that looks more like 1,320. So £13.20. And then scaling that up to get 100% of our interest, we're going to times this by 10, which is going to be £132. So we know that the interest that we got was £132. How can we work out the rate? Well, we can divide this by the amount that we had in the account to work out what percentage we got as interest, which is the interest rate. So we can do £132 divided by the amount that we had in the account, 5,500, and then times that by 100 to turn it into a percentage. So 132 over 5500. Oh, I'm typed that in wrong. So fraction 132 over 5500 times by 100. And we're going to get 2.4% as our answer. Talk to me, talk to me, talk to me, guys. Let's have a look. How did we find that one? How did we find that one? Did we get it? Did it make sense after I went through it? I know it's a tough question. Yuko said this makes a lot more sense now. Fantastic. AGWE said yes. Awesome. Okay, good work, Brian. Good work, Julia. Good work, Linda. Yeah, guys, really difficult wording for that question. Really difficult wording. Okay, we're going to do one more question, and then we're going to call it a day for this first stream. We're skipping these ones. Oh, actually, should we do that? Or should we do... Nope, let's do this one. Let's finish with this one. Question number 13, completing the square. I've got quite a few Q&A style questions going in the chat. We're going to save the Q&A for after the later session, guys. So at 10:30, the next high session is going to start at 9. We'll be revising until 10:30, doing most of the November 2019 paper 3 and maybe some of another paper. And then we're going to do the breathing exercises and stuff I mentioned at 10:30 just to chill down ahead of tomorrow. Let's have a look. Okay, Autumn says, I still don't get that last one. Let me know, Autumn, if you have any specific questions, and I can answer them in the chat now. Or I can answer them, I should say, not answer them in the chat. Nice. Kaj has got an answer for this one. Nova says, just had to pause, but now I get the last one. Nice, Nova. Good to see. Good to see. Okay. Question 13. How are we going to do this one? This is another topic, guys, which I will say is pretty likely to come up tomorrow. I would even say it's really likely. So if you don't know how to do it, pay close attention. This one is a specific technique, specific method that we just have to memorize. So there's not too much understanding around this. This is just a method that we memorize. So if you don't know this one at the moment, pay close attention to this. Hopefully you'll know it for tomorrow. So the question says, write x squared plus 6x minus 7 in the form x plus a squared plus b, where a and b are integers. Okay, what are we going to do? Firstly, we recognize that this is a quadratic, and we recognize that this is the completed the square form. So what the question is saying is complete the square for x squared plus 6x minus 7. So how do we complete the square? First off, I'm just going to copy it down to make the writing a bit clearer. So x squared plus 6x minus 7. What we do is we do this. We write out a pair of brackets, and we write x at the start of them. Then what we do is we look at the number next to the x in the first line. So in the original quadratic, here it's a 6. And then we halve that number and we write it inside the brackets. Then we square the brackets. We copy down the minus 7. And then what we do is we take away the number inside the brackets squared. So here we're going to take away 3 squared. We're going to take away 9. Then we can simplify. We're going to have x plus 3 squared, and then minus 7 minus 9 would be minus 16. So our answer then is going to be x plus 3 squared minus 16. Now, there's a couple of other things that I want to teach for this, because it's pretty likely to come up, and there's a couple of edge cases which trip almost everybody up. So what's the next one I want to show? Well, let's say instead we have x squared minus 8x plus 7. Then what we're going to do is we're going to write out our pair of brackets. We're going to write an x at the front again. This time we're going to look at the number next to the x. It's a minus 8. So we're going to halve that. We're going to get minus 4. And then we're going to do the same thing, square the bracket, copy down the plus 7. And again, we're going to take away this number squared. So we're going to minus 16. Then we can simplify. x minus 4 squared. 7 minus 16 is minus 9. So we're going to get x minus 4 squared minus 9. Now, the final part of this, actually, guys, let me know in the chat. Did that one make sense when we went through it? Let me know. Yeah, good. There we go. So Solis says, is it not plus 16? Very good question, Solis. No, it's not. And that is exactly why I went through this example. The reason I went through this example is because even if it's a negative here, we still take away the square of the number. I'm not going to explain why for now, because it's not the priority here, but we still take it away. Neve says, oh, I get it now. Hey, fantastic, fantastic. Now, the final thing we're going to mention, guys, is how do we find the turning point? So let's say that we didn't just have an expression here, but we had a full equation. And it was an equation which said y equals. So let's say it said y equals each of these things. How do we find the turning point? How do we find the turning point? So if it's y equals this, and then also if it's y equals this. Now, what's the turning point? We know, or we might know, we might not know, that the general shape of a quadratic is a curve which looks like this. So the general shape is it goes down and then it goes up. Now it could go up and then down, so it could be like this, sad face, or it could be a happy face. The turning point is the point where the gradient changes from either negative to positive or positive to negative. So this is the turning point, but how do we find it? To find the coordinates of the turning point, guys, what we do is we complete the square. And then once we've completed the square, we can read the turning point from the completed the square form. To find the x coordinate of the turning point, we look at the number next to the x and we change the sign. We change the sign. So the 3 is going to turn to a negative 3. And to get the y coordinate, we just take the number on the end. So it's just going to be minus 16. So for the x coordinate, we change the sign. Plus 3 becomes minus 3. For the y coordinate, we keep the sign the same. The minus 16 stays as a minus 16. Now, for the other one, what would it be? Well, we would have the turning point as x coordinate. We look at the minus 4. We turn it into a positive. So we have 4. And then for the y coordinate, we just take the number on the end. It's going to be minus 9. We don't have to change the sign. And guys, that is going to be our final question for this first session of the evening. Ooh, guys, what did we think of that explanation? Did that one help? Let's see. Maria, nice to have you, says, guys, you're going to finish one last day. Good job. Absolutely. Absolutely, Maria. Good to have you on. Vampasite said, thank you. Mirage says, thank you, Matt. See you later. Guys, my pleasure. Thank you very much. Let me just take a sip of water. Thank you, Yuko, said wonderful lesson. Thank you, Siles. Thank you, Davinder. Thank you, Autumn. Thank you, Tame. Thank you, Victoria. Guys, so glad that this one helped. So glad that this one helped. Pumpkin HD, I'm going to share it in the Q&A later. Okay. So, guys, I'm going to say goodbye for now. It's currently 20 to 7. I'm going to be doing the foundation live this evening from 7 until 8:30. Feel free to join that one if you would like. Depends how much energy you have. If you have loads and loads of energy and you're raring to do more revision, I would do some higher revision, maybe a higher past paper, maybe join a different live, do some revision with them. But if you're feeling tired, I would recommend either taking a break until 9 o'clock or join the foundation lesson, answer a few of the questions, because it's going to be a good kind of, it's going to be like active recovery, let's say. If you were talking in like exercise form, it would be active recovery. So it's like time where you're kind of spending it productively, but not taxing or tiring your brain out too much. So yeah, we're going to be back at 9. The plan at 9, for anybody wondering, is going to be similar to this. We're going to be going through the November 2019 paper 3. We're going to be doing a lot of the questions from that. And then depending on time, depending on how much we've gone through by the time we get to 9:30, maybe we're going to do some from the 2020 paper 3 as well. I wrote November 2020. The front of the paper says June. Technically, it's a November paper, but basically it's only 2020 paper because of COVID. So that's going to be the plan for later. And then from 9:30, not 9:30, from 10:30 until 11, guys, we're going to be chilling down. We're going to be doing the breathing exercises, the little bit of meditation, and we're going to do a little bit of a chill Q&A, getting ready for bed, getting ready to go to sleep, because quite often when you're revising a lot before you go to bed, it's quite hard to fall asleep. So, guys, thank you for a fantastic session. First off, Janat says, let's go, Mr. Matt. Amara said, Unk the goat. Some people are saying, Hester, are you mewing, Matthew? Guys, I've looked at what mewing was after so many people said about it, like something to do with your mouth. I'm just speaking. I don't know if it's possible to do while you're speaking, but Vampire Sight, thank you for the super chat, J Sauce. I appreciate that very much. Thank you for the £2 donation. Okay, guys, fantastic job in this first session. I'm going to say bye for now. If you're a regular, let's get a lightning bolt in the chat for me. Or if you're anybody, let's get a lightning bolt in the chat for me. Let's finish the session on high energy. Lightning bolts in the chat. And then I'll see you guys again at 9 p.m. Thank you, Ray. Thank you, Twisted Paradox. Val E. Bringing that good energy. Mickey Red. Ariel. So however you say your name. Custard Cream. Speedruns and Tricks. Neve. KJ. Vampire Sight. That One Nerd. Taylor Eberly. Rish. Linda. Hibber. Wild Russian Bro. Autumn. Ari Patel. God's Grace. KJ. Speedruns and Tricks. Dragon. Guys, adios. Hasta luego. Ciao, ciao, ciao. I will see you either at 7 o'clock if you're joining the foundation session, otherwise 9 p.m. for our final GCSE maths revision of 2025. Guys, ciao for now. I will see you a bit later on.